श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। सुखं नित्यं स्वप्रकाशं व्यापकं नामरूपयोः अधिष्ठानं बुद्ध्यबोध्यं बुद्धेर्दृग्यत्तु निर्मलम् अपारं सर्ववेदान्त वेद्यं प्रत्यक्परं महः तदेवाहं न मत्तोऽन्यत इति मे निश्चिता मतिः। So, we are seeing objections which have been raised about existence of a Sakshi. So, the objection which has been raised is Sakshi different from Jiva does not exist. The opponent is trying to convince us that Jiva which you refer to, he himself is Sakshi. Sakshi is not different from Jiva, and even if there are many Sakshis, then those Sakshis are many in number and not one. To come to this point in conclusion, he is explaining us how we in Vedanta define Sakshi, for which he went on explaining knower-known relationships, or that which can perceive the other and what can be perceived by Indriyas and Antahkarana, etc. During this analysis, the author has explained that objects outside can be perceived by our sense organs. Objects outside are made up of grossified 5 elements, and they being outside, they can be perceived by sense organs, but sense organs cannot perceive that which is made up of subtle 5 elements and which is inner to them. Antahkarana being inwards, being subtler to Indriyas, Antahkarana does not become object of knowledge for sense organs. Now, sense organs are known by Antahkarana, but within Antahkarana, how do we know Antahkarana is the question. Antahkarana is made up of different thought modification vrittis. Antahkarana vritti. Does Antahkarana become object of knowledge for its vrittis? Then it is said no. Antahkarana vrittis also cannot know Antahkarana. Why? Because Antahkarana is support, vrittis are that which is supported, and supported entity cannot know support, or support can never become object of knowledge for supported. If that were true, then the problem would have been स्वाश्रयान्तःकरणाश्रित रागद्वेष सुख दुःख धर्मान् अपि विषयीकर्तुं शक्नोति. Then vrittis would have known raga, dvesha, etc., which are qualities, attributes of Antahkarana, and vrittis would have become different from Antahkarana, but that is not the case. Therefore, Antahkarana vrittis also are not able to know Antahkarana. Then who knows what? So in supported relation pair, that which is supported can know things which are slightly far away from its support. they cannot know those things which are too close to support or support itself, and things which are too far. In Sankhya they say ati durat, ati samipyat, etc. Object was not perceived. Why? Because it was too close to my eyes, too close to my ears, too close to my nose. Or ati, that is ati samipyat, or ati durat, very far away. Do we smell inside of our nose? No. It's funny to think about it, but answer is no. But we smell flower which comes close to our nostrils. Same is the case. Ati durat, ati samipyat. Too far or too close. Things are not perceived. In the same way, antahkarana vritti cannot know qualities of antahkarana. It can only know something which is different, slightly far away. Accepted, understood. Then who knows antahkarana? Therefore it is said, itham antahkaranam tadharmasya na indriyanam antahkarana vrittesha vishayi bhavanti. Neither sense organs nor antahkarana and its vrittis, or nor antahkarana vrittis can know antahkarana, but it is known or perceived by Sakshi. Sakshina te vishayi kriyante iti hi Vedanta siddhantah. They are known, they are perceived by Sakshi. So they become object of knowledge for Sakshi. Okay. What's your next argument? What's your next point? The opponent is going to say, Aneka sakshinam ekena brahmana aikya asambhavaha. This is the main topic. Aneka sakshinam ekena brahmanaikya sambhavaha. Sakshi being many, they cannot have oneness with Brahman. He already has established by himself that Sakshi are many in number. Why? Because as many antahkarana, so many will be witness consciousness, so many will be Sakshi. Evancha antahkarana tadharmanam kevala Sakshi vedyattvamate Sakshinaha ekatvaangikaraha na yujyate. Evam, in this way, if such is the description, such is the definition of antahkarana, such is Sakshi, not antahkarana, if such is Sakshi, then antahkarana tadharmanam, antahkarana and its attributes, of those kevala Sakshi vedyattvamate, in the doctrine, in the idea, or in the doctrine, in the rule where Sakshi Vedyatva, they are Sakshi Vedya, things which are known by Sakshi. Vedya, a thing to be known, or thing which is known. By whom? Sakshi. Sakshina Vedyatva. Sakshi Vedyatvamate. And how? Kevala Sakshi Vedyatvamate. Antahkarana and its attributes, they are known by Sakshi alone. In this doctrine, in this concept, Sakshinaha, of Sakshi, ekatva angikaraha, ekatva, oneness, being one, angikaraha, accepting, na yujyate, is not appropriate, is not possible. To say that when Sakshi is the knower, perceiver of antahkarana and its attributes, then to say Sakshi is one and one alone is inappropriate, is not possible. Why? Purvameva pradarshita ritya ekena sakshina yada ekantahkaranastha sukhadukkhaadayaha vishayikriyante tada. Purvameva pradarshita ritya, as it has been shown and has been described earlier, explained before, ekena sakshina, if by one sakshi, yada, when, ekantahkaranastha sukhadukkhaadayaha, eka antahkaranastha residing in one antahkarana. Sukha dukkhadayah, happiness and sorrows, etc. Vishayi kriyante, are objectified, are perceived. Tada, then. सर्वांतःकरणगत सुखदुःखादेरपि विषयीकरणापत्तेः अनिवार्यत्वात् विषयीकरणापत्तेः अनिवार्यत्वात् सर्वांतःकरणगत सर्व all अंतःकरण inner instrument अंतःकरण गत residing pervading so सुखदुःखादेः अपि happiness and sorrows which are there in all antahkaranas, they also vishayikaranapatte anivaryatvat, you cannot avoid all antahkaranas being objectified by that sakshi. In short, he is reiterating what he said earlier. If Sakshi becomes witness consciousness or objectifies one particular antahkarana, consequently at the same time it will objectify all antahkaranas and it will become witness consciousness for not just happiness and sorrows residing in one antahkarana but all antahkaranas. So, at the same time he will be happy and sorrowful. He will be angry, he will be calm. Why? Because while he is experiencing happiness in one antahkarana, while he is witnessing happiness in one antahkarana, at the same time he will be witnessing sorrow in different antahkarana. Then tell me, how is it possible? As we had seen the example of serial arrangement of tube lights, bulbs. When you switch on, when you turn on the switch and electricity starts passing through, all bulbs are lit, all bulbs are turned on. It's not that very few are turned on. At the same time, it is going through all of them. That electricity being one and bulbs being many, similarly antahkarana are many and electricity is one. But this, if we accept this thing, loke, and this idea is unavoidable. You can't avoid this. Anivaryatvat. And if this is accepted, then loke tatha ananubhavat. That's not how we experience in the world. Do we see someone being happy and sorrowful at the same time? No. Do we see someone, or do we see ourselves witnessing happiness and sorrows at the same time? No. Ananubhavat loke. This anubhava not being evident, not being available in our experiences, transactional world, in our worldly experiences, sakshinaha, aneke sakshinaha ityevabhyupagantavyam. You have to accept, or it has to be accepted, that aneke sakshinaha, sakshis are many in number. साक्षिणः अनेकत्वपक्षे यथा न दोषः तथोक्तमेव प्राक्. And we have already explained what we have already explained how there is no dosha, there is no problem in accepting that sakshi are many in number. Yatha na dosha tathoktameva prak. And in that way alone we have explained earlier. There he had said, as many sakshis, that many as many antahkarana, that many sakshis are required to be accepted. And same explanation was given earlier also. Tatha cha aneka sakshinam ekena brahmana aikyam na yujyate eva. Therefore, tatha अनेक साक्षिणम, अनेक साक्षिणम, of अनेक साक्षीज, एकेन ब्रह्मणा ऐक्यम, ऐक्यम oneness with एकेन ब्रह्मणा, one Brahman, न युज्यते एव, is not possible. How can 10 people be equated to one? No, it is not possible. How can 10 things be equated to one, they being one? It is not possible. So, now answer is being given. विषय विषयकाक्षेपाणां समाधानानि. So far, akshepa was about Vishaya Vishayaka, about the topic of this text, for which answers are now being given. Sakshi Swarupam. What is the nature of Sakshi? Yes, the explanation that you have given is appropriate, right? But there is one small mistake in your understanding. What is that mistake? It is being explained. Yaduktam Jivaha Ragadveshadi Klesha Vishishtaha Tadrahitasya Brahma. You have said earlier, you have explained earlier. What is it? Jivaha Ragadveshadi Klesha Vishishtaha. Vishishta, which actually Vishishta is specific, or with adjuncts, adjectives, along with Raga, Dvesha, Klesha. Jiva has Raga, Dvesha, Klesha. Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha, we had seen earlier. Jiva has those, Ishvara, Brahman doesn't have that. Tadrahitasya Brahma. तस्मात् तयोः जीवब्रह्मणोः ऐक्यरूपः विषयः ग्रन्थस्य न सिद्ध्येदिति. This is what you said. Oneness of Brahman cannot be the topic of this text. Why? Because Jiva has Raga, Dvesha, Klesha, etc. Brahman does not have these defects. Therefore, they being of different nature, different attributes, qualities, they being different essentially, oneness is not possible. So, oneness of those two cannot be the topic of this text. Yadyapi satyameva, author continues further, starts giving answer. Even though what you have said is right, tathapi, yet रागादि वियुक्त साक्षिणः ब्रह्मणा ऐक्यं युज्यते एव. रागादि वियुक्त साक्षिणः, साक्षी which is devoid of raga, dveshadi, klesha, defects starting with raga, dvesha, etc. Of that sakshi, brahmana aikyam yujyate eva. Oneness with Brahman is possible. Why? Because now their nature is same. Sakshi also does not have these defects. Brahman also doesn't have those defects. So they both are same, one and the same. They can't be different from each other. Why? When qualities of two things are same, then two things cannot be different from each other. न च कर्तृत्व भोक्तृत्वादि धर्म विशिष्ट जीवात् अन्यः साक्षी वंध्यासूनु समत्वान्नास्ति इति वाच्यम् उपहितस्य साक्षित्वात्. Now it is a very beautiful statement and it clarifies many things. The explanation of this line is going to come in the next two, but let's understand what author has said in this one. न च कर्तृत्व भोक्तृत्वादि धर्म विशिष्ट जीवात् अन्यः साक्षी. Keep aside न. कर्तृत्व भोक्तृत्व, doership, enjoyership, or doerness, enjoyerness, or dharma, attributes, vishishta, qualified by, these kartrutva and bhoktrutva, jiva. So jiva, which has attributes or qualities of kartrutva and bhoktrutva. Jiva, who is doer and enjoyer of its karma phalas, different from that jiva, jivat anyaha, different from that jiva, sakshi, witness consciousness, sakshi, vandhyasunu samatvat, vandhyasunu, son of a barren woman, totally non-existent, impossible to exist. Na asti iti vachyam, is not there, iti vachyam. Na asti iti vachyam, take na, which is in the beginning. Don't say it in this way. In simple terms, don't say that Sakshi different from Jiva does not exist. Remove that double negative. Sakshi different from Jiva does exist. Why? The reason is being given. Upahitasya sakshitvat. Upahita, conditioned. Upahitasya, of that which is conditioned. Sakshitvat, being witness of its conditionings, or being witness of that which is conditioned, which is upahita. Somewhat we have understood your argument, somewhat we have understood the reason, but please explain it little bit further. Author now continues. कर्तृत्व भोक्तृत्वादि रूप संसारी विशेषणानां यो विशेष्यांशः स एव साक्षी इत्युच्यते. Let me read the next line also. तादृश साक्षि निषेधे संसारिणः विशेष्यांशापलापे कर्तृभोक्तृस्वरूप संसारी निषेधः एव पर्यवस्येत. Now what is this visheshananam no yo visheshyamshah etc.? Simple. Only the words are big, words are difficult, but meaning is very much simple. What are the qualities or adjectives? Let's come to our simple English. What are the adjectives used for jiva? Kartrutva, bhoktrutva adi dharma vishishta. So he is karta, he is bhokta, he has that kartrutva, doerness, enjoyerness, doership, enjoyership, in whichever manner we may explain. So these are the adjectives of samsari jiva. Kartrutva, bhoktrutvaadi rupa samsari visheshananam. Samsari visheshananam. Visheshana, adjectives of samsari, which are kartrutva and bhoktrutva. Of those adjectives, the one who is visheshyamshaha, visheshya, to that or that to which these adjectives belong, that to which these adjectives belong, sa eva sakshi iti uchyate. He is that sakshi. That to which all these adjectives belong, that is sakshi. So he is not with these adjectives. He is different from those. Later the difference between who is jiva and who is sakshi will be very much clear. Tadrusha sakshi nishedhe. If we deny sakshi with who has these qualities, samsarinaha visheshyamshapalape. Visheshyansha, that part which is the visheshya. Apalape, abhava, when they are removed. भोक्तृ स्वरूप संसारी निषेध एव पर्यवस्येत. If we remove that to which adjectives belong, adjectives also will go away. Simple. Take away take away flower. Can blueness of that flower exist? No. Color blue is the adjective of that flower. Take away flower. Can we have separate blueness? No. So if we remove Sakshi, their Samsaritva, etc., which are the adjectives of that Sakshi, they also will go away. So if you try to deny Sakshi, your Jiva also will go away. You cannot say Sakshi is not there but Jiva is there. Why? Because all the qualities which belong to Jiva are actually adjectives of that Sakshi. You cannot have adjectives devoid of its object. Object to which these adjectives belong has to be there. एकस्यैव चैतन्यस्य okay, it is going to come later. एकस्यैव चैतन्यस्य साक्षित्वे विवक्षिते अंतःकरणमुपाधिर्भवति. एकस्यैव चैतन्यस्य साक्षित्वे विवक्षिते. Of that one Chaitanya, when Sakshi is explained, Vivakshite, when it is desired to be explained, it is explained. Antahkaranam upadhir bhavati. Antahkarana becomes its upadhi, conditioning. Tasyaiva kartrutva bhoktritva vishishta jivatve vivakshite. When of that same Chaitanya, kartrutva bhoktritva vishishta jivatva vivakshite, when jivatva along with its kartrutva and bhoktritva is explained, vivakshite sati, antahkaranam, that antahkarana, visheshanancha bhavati, becomes adjective, which is a very beautiful point. When Sakshi and Antahkarana are taken, Antahkarana becomes Upadhi of Chaitanya. And in case of Jiva, Antahkarana becomes Visheshana, adjective of Jiva. ये गौड़ बंगाल क्या है? What is this thing? What is this adjective? What is conditioning, etc.? Upadhi, etc. The explanation is going to come later, but let me give you brief introduction about that before. There is difference between Upadhi and Visheshana. There is a difference between Upadhi and Visheshana. What is the difference? The difference is simple. Visheshana stays along with its object. You cannot separate Visheshana from its object. Visheshya. Exact definition is going to come later. But now understand what is Upadhi. Upadhi never becomes one with its Upahita, that which is conditioned. Conditioning always stays separate from that which is conditioned. Conditioning always stays separate from that which is conditioned. So Antahkarana is always different from Sakshi, and Jiva is always along with antahkarana. Jiva will always be along with antahkarana, and antahkarana will be conditioning which is different from sakshi. Definitions are now being given. विशेषेण युक्तं विशिष्टं उपाधिना युक्तं उपहितम् इति च उच्यते. That which is with visheshanas, adjectives, is called as vishishta, qualified. Now this is the problem with English. We have to use these words, qualities and that which is qualified. That which is upahita and upadhis. So conditionings and conditioned. But I am going to stick with visheshana and vishishta. Let me just explain again what these terms are, so you will understand it. So you will have the idea when I use visheshana, vishishta, upadhi, upahita. Let's take the example of same blue colored flower and blue colored bottle. Now there is flower which is blue in color, and on that blue flower I have kept a glass bottle or a crystal which is colorless on that flower. Now blueness of flower and blueness of crystal, is there a difference in between these two? Yes. The blueness of flower, in that blueness and flower there is relation of quality and qualified. That blueness is quality of that flower. In grammatical sense, blue color is the adjective visheshana, and flower becomes visheshya or vishishta. At the same time, in the pair blue colored crystal, that blueness is upadhi, conditioning of that crystal. It never becomes one with that crystal. So that blue color for crystal becomes upadhi and crystal becomes upahita. Conditioning and conditioned. Technical definition is now being given. How to understand what is an upadhi and what is visheshana. कार्यानन्वयित्वे सति विद्यमानत्वे सति व्यावर्तकः उपाधिः. कार्य अनन्वयित्वे सति, अन्वय existing all throughout, ananvaya not existing. Not existing where? In karya. Karya ananvayitve sati, where there is no existence or continuity in karya. But yet vidyamanatve sati, being present, vyavartakaha, that which separates, is upadhi. Simple. There are many crystals. Now if I am to pick up, or those sphatikalingas, let's say there are many sphatikalingas which have been arranged with flower, with many different colored flowers below. Now if I am to point out particular that sphatikalinga, crystal linga, well, what should I say? That linga which is yellow in nature, yellow in color, red in color, blue in color. So by that it separates that particular object, that particular sphatika linga from others. Vyavartaka, separating out. So upadhi separates out that object while being existing or while it exists, at the same time it is not present in its effect or its karya. Here karya refers to linga, that sphatika crystal to which the color is being given. Now that blue color is being given to that sphatika. So that sphatika becomes karya for upadhi, blue color, blue colored flower. When flower is existing, at that time alone, it separates that crystal out from others. But yet, that blue color is not present in that crystal. Just let's go 2-3 lines further. Or okay, he is going to give the definition of Visheshana later only. So now, how to understand Upadhi? Author has given different example and explanation. He says, Yatha Nyayamate Karnagolakantargata Akashaha Shrotrendriyamityuchyate. Just as in the idea of, or in Nyayamata, in the theory of Nyaya, Karnagolakantargata Akashaha Shrotrendriyamuchyate. The space which is inside this, inside our ear, that space is referred to as Shrotrendriya, sense organ, hearing. Tatra Karnagolakam Shrotrasya Upadhi. In that pair, this Karnagolaka, this ear that we see, becomes Upadhi, becomes conditioning. Yataha Karnagolakam Swavacchinnam Akasham Shrotrendriyatvena bodhayitva swayam tena sambaddham bhavati. Tasmat Karnagolakam Shrotrasya Upadhi. Yatha Karnagolakam, just as Karnagolaka, the locus of this ear, these ears, Swavacchinnam Akasham, Avachinna, pervaded, qualified or conditioned. Akasha, Akasha which has been separated out by our ear, that space which is inside is referred to as Shrotrendriya, organ of hearing. Bodhayitva, having been pointed out, Swayam, by itself, tena asambaddham bhavati. It does not become one with that. It stays asambaddha, totally separate. It never becomes one with that space. Tasmat, therefore, Karnagolakam, these ears, this ear becomes Shrotrasya Upadhi, becomes Upadhi of hearing, Shrotrendriya. Same way, evam antahkaranamapi swopahita chaitanyam sakshittvena bodhayitva swayam tena sambaddham vartate. Tasmat antahkaranam sakshinah upadhihi iti antahkaranastha chaitanya-matram sakshi iti cha siddhyati. Now author explains, evam, in this way, antahkaranam-api, antahkarana also, swopahitam chaitanyam, upahitam conditioned, swa svena, conditioned by oneself. What is that? Chaitanyam. Chaitanya which has been conditioned by oneself, by that sakshi, by that antahkarana, sakshitvena bodhayitva. Bodhayitva, by making us know, by indicating, by pointing out, as sakshi, swayam, it itself, tena asambaddham vartate. It remains separate from that which is pointed out. Now this is the language of Nyaya. This is the technical or language. It whatever that has been said is very much simple and easy. Let's understand the difference between Upadhi and Visheshana. Visheshana becomes one with Vishesha. Upadhi remains separate and yet differentiates, separates out. Example was given of ear. The space which has been encapsulated by this ear, that space is referred to as Shrotrendriya. That Shrotrendriya being is for that Shrotrendriya, that space, ear becomes conditioning. It separates that space out, yet it remains separate from that space, Shrotrendriya. In the same way, Chaitanya is always present along with Antahkarana. Chaitanya is always present along with Antahkarana. Without Chaitanya, nothing can exist. So the Chaitanya which is available or which is pointed out as that which has been conditioned by Antahkarana. The Antahkarana which is the conditioning and Chaitanya which is the conditioned, that Chaitanya, not Antahkarana, that Chaitanya is indicated, pointed out as Sakshi, Sakshitvena Bodhayitva. That Antahkarana remains separate from that Chaitanya. Therefore, Tasmat, Antahkaranam Sakshinaha Upadhi. Antahkarana becomes Upadhi of Sakshi. When we are pointing out Sakshi, we are referring to that Chaitanya of which Antahkarana is Upadhi and not adjective Visheshana. Antahkaranastha Chaitanya matram Sakshi iti cha siddhyati. But who is Sakshi? Sakshi is that which is, Sakshi is that Chaitanya which has been conditioned by Antahkarana. Sakshi is that Chaitanya which has been conditioned by Antahkarana. Then who is a Jiva? Let me explain before reading. Simple. Exactly opposite. Karyanvayitve sati vidyamanatve sati vyavartakam visheshanam. That which stays along with the object which it qualifies, and vidyamanatve sati, when it is existing, it separates that object out, it separates that object from other objects, that is visheshana, that is the adjective. So when I say blue flower, that blue flower stays with that flower, it is never separate from that flower, and yet all blue flowers are separated, or that blue flower is separated from all different colored flowers. This is the nature of adjective and the relation between quality and qualified. In case of Jiva, Antahkarana is explained as an adjective of that Chaitanya. So their Antahkarana along with Chaitanya, they both are together. They can never be separated out. In such a case, that becomes Jiva. So when Antahkarana is explained as adjective of that Chaitanya, it will be Jiva. And when it is explained as Upadhi, conditioning, that Chaitanya is Sakshi. We will stop here. Further explanation we will see next time. ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ